We are back from Hawaii. October 11th was probably the biggest race of your entire life, and you've had some pretty big ones. And we're back here just to take a little bit of time to talk about it and your experience of Kona. First, if you can talk us through the morning, what was going through your mind race day morning?
A lot of things. A lot of things were going through my mind, but I think the biggest thing was gratitude. I just kept telling myself, I am so grateful to be here. And I remember the last spot that we were able to see each other, there was a point where Caleb dropped me off and then it was just athletes only. And he kissed me goodbye and I just started tearing up. And it was because I just felt so grateful for all the sacrifices that you had made and the kids had made, and just feeling so supported. So really just overwhelmed with gratitude to be able to make it to the start line.
So you've done some really big races. You've done Boston a couple times, and then you've done a sprint triathlon, a 70.3 Ironman, and you've done Chattanooga before. How did this compare?
So I felt a lot of the same feelings that I have in other triathlons, even like smaller, like non-branded 70.3 that we did in August. It's the similar, like, am I going to have a panic attack on the swim? Am I going to have a mechanical issue on the bike that I can't resolve? Am I going to blow up on the run? Like, just all of the same fears that I usually have before a triathlon were still there. A lot of the same feelings. But then there was also just a sense of, this is really special for multiple reasons. One, it was a female-only triathlon, and that was just amazing to be there and it just be other women. And then just having the pros there. At drop-off, I saw Kat Matthews and Chelsea Sodaro, and just like, I think so highly of these amazing women. And so it was just really cool to be able to be there and know that they were in the same race.
So you qualified in Chattanooga over a year ago. Was there a moment either leading up to the race or while we were in Kona that it hit you, I'm doing Kona, the big race?
A lot of times. I think it hit me a lot of times. The one that just stands out in my mind is when I was doing my bike and gear drop-off Friday, so the day before, and as I'm walking through the chute, they have volunteers on both sides, and they're clapping for us, and they're saying congratulations, and the race hasn't even started. Like, I'm just dropping my bike off, and I just started tearing up, and I said to one of the volunteers, I said, I can't believe I'm here. And I think, like you said, waiting a whole year, and then also just so many moments of like, oh, am I going to have an injury that derails this whole thing, or a crash that derails this whole thing? And so just making it to the start line or bag check the day before is just kind of like a exhale of, I'm here. I made it. Regardless of what happens now in the race, I made it here.
So let's get to the swim.
Okay.
We get to race morning. How did the swim start feel? This is the first time that you've done like a start where you're in the water all together. It's not a time trial start or anything like that with swimmers entering, every 5 seconds. You're in there with your whole age group, and the gun goes off. How did it feel? What was the energy like? The chaos?
Yeah, so we lined up with our in the queue by age group, and so one of the things that hit me immediately, well, first of all, I was really thankful that I was the first age group wave. When I saw that, that was also another just sigh of relief, because I knew I was going to need all the time I could get.
You weren't going to be literally the last person getting out of the water.
Right, exactly. But it was kind of random the way that they had it. Like, it didn't seem, I'm sure they had a rhyme and reason to it, but it just seemed very random. So it was 35 to 39, which was mine. And then right after us was, I believe, 60 to 64. Because I think I caught myself staring at them, because I was just like, oh my goodness. like these women are grandmas. These women have gray hair, and they're about to do this thing that I am scared out of my mind to do, wondering, can my body even get me through this? And so I just, so much respect for them. And then they play the national anthem, which just always makes me cry. And then announced the pros. The pros got in the water. The para-athletes went off, and then it was our turn. And so we go down the stairs, and then we actually had to swim out to the start line, which was, I think, about 100 yards. And then we just had to tread water there for about 7 minutes. And then we started. And I had talked through with Caleb that I was just going to wait about 10 seconds.
Whoever gave you that advice, that was great advice.
That was Caleb's advice. And I also had a friend that we had met up through social media. And so we were near each other. We were both really nervous about the swim. And so we kind of stayed with each other. We counted to 10, we kind of looked at each other, and then we started. And so that was comforting, just knowing I'm not the only one freaking out about the swim. And so went off, and I'm always worried about getting kicked in the ribs or kicked in the head. So that's why I kind of like to just find a space. And so it spaced out.
You've shared before that you've only done current assisted swims. What was the ocean like?
Yeah.
Was it what you expected?
So that's not true, because I have done a couple lake swims.
Yeah, that's true.
And okay, so we had done a practice swim a couple days before, and that day was great. It was pretty calm. We saw dolphins, which was amazing. And that was one of the things that I was really looking forward to about the swim. And I kept telling myself was, it's going to go by so fast because it's going to be like an aquarium. Everybody says you can see in the water and see all these colorful fish and turtles and dolphins and all these things. And it really wasn't like that on race day. It was pretty windy. It was pretty overcast, very choppy. So I did not see any of those things. So I'm thankful that I did on the shakeout swim. But it worked out. It was nice that it was cloudy because I wasn't looking right into the sun whenever I took a deep breath or whenever I breathed to the left. But it was very choppy. It was hard to see the buoys, lots of swells. So you go out and then you make a short right. And when we made that short right, it was just like we were swimming right into the waves. It was so hard to swim. And then we made the other right back in. So it was a lot choppier than I expected, but I did it.
You did it. So you get to the end. How did you feel getting out of the water?
So the last little bit, you come alongside the pier, and that was really cool. So I always breathe to the left. So I was able to see all the people lining the pier, cheering, clapping, and that was just like, I did this. I made it. Like I'm here now. I can see the finish. And I was just really relieved, really proud of myself for finishing. My goal was an hour and 30 minutes. And when I got out, I looked at my watch and it was an hour and 24 minutes. So I was really, really proud of that. I hit my goal. And like I said, just relief. It's really funny if you look at the pictures. Every single one of the pictures of me coming out of the water, you can tell I'm just doing deep exhales of, it's done. It's over.
So you get to T1.
Yeah, so T1 was pretty uneventful. They had hoses there, and I really took my time there, just getting all the salt water off, and got my bag, got my bike stuff on. I had a great bike location. It was like right there where you go out onto the course. So T1 was very smooth.
So you get out onto the bike. Tell us about the bike course. What was it like?
Yeah, so the bike course, you start out, you do some up and around and out and backs through the town. And I'm a very cautious cyclist. If you've watched any of our previous videos, you know, that's just, I'm cautious and careful.
Somebody unclips or on U-turns.
So there were some steep downhills. I rode the brakes. There were some U-turns. I unclipped.
I'm going to jump in real quick because, like, if you've ever watched one of the World Championships in Kona, like, you hear some of the terms like Palani and some of the roads that you ride down, Ali'i, the Queen K. Palani, I knew that they said it was a hill, but it is a steep hill. And you go down it on a bike, And then you turn around and a few miles later you go up it, and then same on the run, you run up it on the run. So you get to see Palani a lot, and it is a steep hill.
Steep hill with a hard left.
With a hard 90-degree turn at the bottom, so you can't go flying into it.
Yeah, so I rode my brakes, unclipped on the U-turn. It's just a lot of people. There's crowds. I remember at one point in the beginning, I was nervous because people were really, I was like, I feel like I'm in the Tour de France when people, like jump in front of the cyclists. That's what it felt like. I was like, this is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, there were no barriers on parts of the course. And so people, it would really crowd in, which was fun as a spectator too, because we were right there.
Yeah, not fun for a nervous cyclist. But once we got out onto the Queen K, it did spread out, it spaced out. It took a little bit for me to kind of find my place. Everybody's trying to settle in. I'm always getting paranoid about getting a penalty, so I was really careful to not draft but eventually it happened. It spaced out, and I found a good spot where there was a good amount of distance in front of me, and the person in front of me was going about the same pace. So it eventually worked out, and I was loving it. There was a great tailwind, and the scenery was beautiful. And every now and then there'd be people from the resorts out sitting under tents cheering for us. I mean, it was great. I was having the time of my life for the first, 40 miles of the race maybe.
Kona is notorious for wind and heat.
Yes.
You had a little bit of shade. There was a morning shower. There was some overcast clouds. What was the heat and the wind like? You mentioned a tailwind. What was the rest of the ride like?
Yeah, on the swim, as I mentioned, it was very cloudy, and I thought, this is going to be the best day ever. It's going to be cloudy the whole day. I'm going to have a great time. Well,
Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
That ended as soon as I got on the bike. Sun came out and it was sunny, and yes, it was windy. There were a few wind gusts that I felt like I was almost going to lose control because of the wind gusts. And then as we made the turn and went up to Javi, which we had driven the course before, and it didn't seem that difficult of a climb, but when you have that combined with the heat, combined with the headwind, that was very tough. The climb up to Javi was tough. And that's where I really started to feel like I was losing steam. I was maintaining really good power, 135 to 150 range, about the first 50 miles. And then that climb up to Javi, right around the halfway point, so 56 miles. Stopped at special needs, got my special needs things. And special needs was on an uphill, which was really hard for me. My legs were shaking. To get clipped back in and going uphill was just really tough.
It was hard for the pros also, because I saw a video of Taylor Knibb trying to get started. It was an interesting placement for special needs on the bike.
And so we made the downhill after Javi, and I was like, okay, I'm doing a little better now. I got my special needs. And then probably the last 30 miles, it just got really hot, and I just kept watching my power drop, and I just was like, I can't do anything about it. I don't have any steam left. So it was what it was. It was quite a bit slower than I wanted it to be, but.
Did you have any moments that, it sounds like you were struggling then, that you just had to reset? How did you reset? What did that look like? Or how did you kind of make it to the end of the bike?
Yeah, the bike was probably the most difficult leg for me. My feet started hurting just a couple hours in, and I've dealt with that maybe one or two times before on long rides. And then my back started hurting, and I was like, why am I feeling this way? I've done 4 Century rides and felt great. So just dealing with that, and then like I mentioned, just losing steam. And so it really turned into the last 30 miles or so, I was just watching people pass me. And that was really discouraging, but I just kept telling myself, just keep pedaling, just keep pedaling. And literally, I was just telling myself, just keep pedaling, just keep pedaling. I was counting down the miles. And this is the moment where I thought about all of the people who told me that they were praying for me, they were cheering for me. I thought a lot about the video. So Caleb unbeknownst to me, he did a very good job keeping it a secret, reached out to several friends and family and had them all send in video messages to me, and he compiled them all into a lovely video that he showed me a couple days before the race. And so I watched it a couple times, and then as I was biking and it got tough, I just kept saying to myself, all these people are praying for you. And then one by one, I'd go through them and I'd pray for them as well. And so that was just a good distraction and just really got me through those last 30 miles.
So we talked about heat. Nutrition is also a big component of really getting through any of the disciplines. But tell me a little bit about what you did to stay cool and to hydrate or take care of nutrition. What did that look like for you on the bike?
Yeah, so this is one of those times where I really benefited from learning a lesson from someone else's experience.
My time in Chattanooga, it was hot there and I did not hydrate appropriately. So I was able to share with her my experience and hopefully that helped.
Yeah, so Caleb told me whatever you're planning on drinking, just double it. And so at home on all of my training rides, I do 1 bottle per hour of a carbohydrate drink that we make, similar to Scratch or Tailwind or something like that.
Yeah, it's about 750 mils of water with a Scratch mix or carb mix in it. So 1 bottle of water.
1 bottle per hour is what I would do at home. And so he told me that. I said, okay, this is gonna be a hot day. I'm gonna need to do this. And so I took 1 bottle of the carbohydrate drink mix and then 1 bottle of water from the aid station every hour. So double what I would normally drink. I also would splash some that whatever didn't fit into my torpedo, I would just splash over myself to cool myself down. So I did that. I took in extra liquid on the bike to help stay hydrated.
Yeah. What were your thoughts coming into T2? Sore feet, sore back?
So
everything was fading.
I was not feeling it coming into T2. I really was happy to be off of the bike, but I got off the bike and I am usually a run through transition kind of person, and I walked that baby the whole thing just as slow as possible. People were running by me. I did not care. I had already factored in, okay, if I walk the whole marathon, I think I can still finish in time. And that's where I was at. I was just going to walk the whole marathon. So I was like, why am I going to rush through transition? I was not feeling well. Even some of the volunteers were like, are you okay? Because I was walking and just really taking my time. Racked my bike, got on my run stuff, put on sunscreen, and then I went to the porta potty really just to be alone. Like, I really didn't even have to pee. I just wanted to be alone and not have people like talking to me or asking me if I was okay. I was just a little overstimulated. So I just like sat in there for a little while, and my transition time was 12 minutes, which is the longest I've ever taken. But I wasn't sure how the run was gonna go, and I was in no hurry to get out into the course. So yeah, took my time there.
Yeah, that 12 minutes probably came back to help you more on the run. So let's talk about the run. How did it feel like getting to step out? Okay, so on the bike, you still kind of get somewhat of a breeze because you're moving through the air, even though it might have felt like an oven.
Yeah.
You step out onto the Kona heat, but this is your leg. This is your baby.
Yes.
How did it feel? You're ready to walk this thing. How did you feel?
Yeah, so I got on through the chute, and there's music playing, there's fans on both sides, and another girl comes up next to me and she's running, and I said, I can do this. I'll run a little bit. And so I started running, and at this point there was some cloud cover. It was overcast for like the first, I don't know, maybe 5-6 miles of the run. And it was like I got a second wind. I was just like, I feel great. This is amazing. And so you do an out and back on Ali'i, and so you're in an area that's residential, and there's just tons of people on both sides, and I was just smiling. I was like, this is amazing. I feel great. I was running faster than I probably should have in retrospect. Not that I like crashed, but maybe it was a little bit too fast because I did slow down a little towards the end. But yeah, I felt great.
Who'd you run into at mile 3 and 3.5?
Yeah, so at the turnaround spot, I was hoping, I know anytime you're spectating, especially with kids, it's hard to get around, but I had a big smile on my face when I saw Caleb and our friend Hannah and the kids there with posters cheering on at the turnaround spot, and was able to give them high fives. And Caleb, of course, was, "How are you? Are you okay?" And he was a little
I'm
worried.
going to jump in and share a little bit of my perspective, because I saw her time slowing down on the bike, and then as her husband, I saw a 12-minute time in T2, and I'm freaking out, and so I just wanted to lay eyes on her to see that she was okay. And so when I saw her come up smiling and running, like her cadence looked good, her turnover was really strong, so I was just beside myself to see her in that condition, to know that she was okay. So I was really happy. That was mile 3. How did you manage the heat?
Yeah, so the cloud cover went away, and it did. I was like, oh, this feels different. And I think when I even saw you running up Palani, I said, pray that the clouds come back, because it just feels different when you have the sun beating down on you. Even if the temperature stays the same, it feels so much harder. So similar to on the bike, I really wanted to be intentional to stay hydrated. So I had a handheld, and at every single aid station, I filled up the handheld with water, and I also got ice. I had a Ziploc baggie of ice. And so I would keep ice inside, like my sports bra, just to kind of keep my core temp down. And then I also was drinking tons of water and dumping it over my head. Mistake that I will talk about at the end was I was only doing water because I only wanted to dump water on my head, and I did not drink any mortal hydration. So I wasn't consuming any electrolytes on the run, and that was a big mistake.
What kept you going through the marathon?
Similar to the bike, just thinking about all the people who said that they were praying for me and cheering for me, and just gratitude to be able to be there. And also just really, like you mentioned, the run is my favorite part. And so just like, this is what I love. I'm getting to do what I love. So just a lot of feelings, but definitely feeling better than I did on the bike.
What was your goal, and what did you finish?
Yeah, so my goal, like I mentioned with the swim, was 1:30, and I did a 1:24. Goal for the bike was 6 hours, and I did a 6:19, and then goal for the run was 4 hours. And so then I allotted myself about 30 minutes for transition / cushion. So my goal was 12 hours, and I did the run in 3:49, so that meant my total time was 11 hours and 53 minutes. So made it under the 12-hour mark, and I was very happy about that.
Describe that finish line moment.
Yeah, so it was incredible. I was trying really hard to be respectful of the people around me and know that, like, everybody wants to go through the chute alone. And so I was looking behind me and looking ahead, and I was actually feeling really good. So my last mile was my fastest mile of all. I was sprinting to kind of get past the people who were ahead of me so there would be a big space, but it just didn't work out that way. I think that like 11 to 12 hour mark is just a very common time for a lot of people. And so it got kind of bunched up, but it still was really cool to just have the huge finish line, biggest red carpet I've ever, biggest finish line experience I've ever been a part of.
When you heard those words, those 4 words, you are an Ironman, what was your thought? Did you even hear it, or did it just kind of all mix in with all the sounds of, the music and everything that's there? Like you said, there were like 8 other finishers probably within 20 seconds of you, and so did you hear your name? Did you hear anything?
I think I was listening for my name. I think she did say maybe from North Carolina, but like you mentioned, there was a lot of people finishing at the same time. There was a lot of people cheering. There was just a lot going on, plus my own internal, I'm so glad it's done. So I don't know that I really heard them say it.
Did it live up to what you imagined?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
All right, so some reflections and takeaways. What does this accomplishment mean to you personally?
Yeah, so more than I can even put into words for so many reasons. One, as we've mentioned before in other videos, last year where I qualified in Chattanooga, that was my first Ironman and the swim was canceled. And so for the last 12 months, I have kind of wrestled through internally, am I really an Ironman? Like, the swim was canceled. They said you're an Ironman when you cross the finish line, but I didn't do all three. So for me, it just didn't feel like the full experience. And so to know, like, I put in 2 training blocks for this, to hear them say you were an Ironman, it just meant so much. And then just to be, I mean, all the history behind Kona and just how iconic it is, it just was so special.
What did you learn in this race, or what would you do differently?
Whew, yeah. So I think that there are a lot of things that I did right, and I don't want to forget that. I think that there's a lot of things that you helped me with, and there's a lot that we just planned really well and had nailed, and things went really well. But there are a few things that came back to bite me. One, like I mentioned, not drinking electrolytes on the run. After I crossed the finish line, I was sick the whole night. I was dizzy, I was throwing up, I was shaking. And finally, when I was able to drink electrolytes and keep them down, it was night and day different. So if you're doing an Ironman and it's hot, make sure you're taking in electrolytes. 2 other small things. Body Glide. I thought I had done a good job with Body Glide, but I did not get the back of my neck, and the salt water is not forgiving.
No.
And so you will chafe really bad from the salt water. So the back of my neck got really bad. And then lastly, I was very good about applying chapstick several times. I had it in my bento box before I got on the run, but my chapstick did not have SPF in it, and my lips got so burned that for the 5 days after the race, my body felt great. My legs were not sore. I felt amazing, but my lips hurt so bad. I almost took Tylenol because I was in so much pain from my lips being burned. So,
yeah, and I would add, you would probably agree with this, but sunscreen.
Yes.
I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, but you didn't see it in transition. It might have been there somewhere. Also, because this was in Hawaii and they have requests or rules on what kind of sunscreen you can use that has to be mineral-based or whatever, it just doesn't stay on. And so even if you applied in the morning...
Yeah, I put it on before the race.
You're out there baking.
But I never saw it in T1. They said they would have it in transition. I never saw it in T1, so I just didn't think about it. But then I did put it on in T2. So I put it on twice, but I still got burned and then peeling right now. So apply a lot of sunscreen.
Lots of sunscreen. So I could not be any prouder of Katie and her accomplishment. We're proud of you. The whole family's proud of you. And so just want to say congratulations. You are an Ironman. You did it. Kona, you put in the work. We're so proud of you.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of you for your words of encouragement and just believing in me and supporting me throughout this journey. It has meant so much. I'm so grateful. If you have any questions for me or want to know anything about the race, please drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And at this moment, I don't know what is next. Still kind of taking some time, but I would love to encourage you to subscribe. We are on our journey to 1,000 subscribers, and that way you will know when we have our next video out. Who knows what it'll be about, because
who knows?
We're both kind of just waiting and seeing. So subscribe so you'll be the first to know. And if you have enjoyed this video, it would mean so much if you would give it a like.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next one.